Wolverines, M80 fireworks. They're all small, mighty, and outlawed in the United States, just like today's car. This 4x4 packed a big punch in a tiny package. Today we're gonna look at where it came from and why one of the cutest cars to ever come out of Japan is actually perfect for devouring terrain. We're also going to talk about the fraudulent crash report inside job that killed it in North America. This is everything you need to know to get up to speed on the Suzuki Samurai. Thanks again to our friends at Omaze for sponsoring this episode. Guys, it is officially your last chance to win a brand new 2020 Corvette Stingray with taxes and shipping included. And if that's not enough, they're also gonna give you $20,000 cash. The Stingray is an amazing car. Trust me, I've been ripping up the canyons around California all freaking day, and this thing is hella dope. But yours would be even sicker than this one because Omaze sprung for the Z51 package, which bumps Hurspers up to 495 extremely buff yet refined Hersey burners. That means a 0 to 60 time in less than 3 seconds. So hurry up and head over to omaze.com/donut and enter for a chance to win a Z51 Stingray and $20,000 in cash. And the best part is helps to support the Ronald Reagan Medical Center at UCLA. Those are the same people that helped me out when I had my heart attack. That's omaze.com/donut. Go there and donate to support an amazing cause, an amazing organization, and also you could win a freaking Corvette. Up to speed. Chapter 1, A New Hope. Our story starts with the Hope Motor Company. No, not the used car dealer in Arkansas. Hope Auto is not the same as Hope Motor. Today I'm talking about the Japanese automaker that got its start in the 50s with three-wheeled K cars. That's right, K cars. Not to be confused with K cars. Okay? Now these K cars are an ultra mini class that became popular in Japanese cities. One, they're easy to park and maneuver, and two, their owners would be exempt from certain taxes as long as their engine and body met specific size requirements. AKA, both of them gotta be really small. Now Hope Motor Company did okay with the K, and in the mid-60s, Hope barged into their workshop with an idea. Yo dudes, I have an idea, but never mind, it's stupid. Oh, come on, tell us. No ideas are stupid, tell us. Nah, you guys are just gonna laugh at me. No, dude, come on, blue sky only, baby, no judgment, let's hear it. I don't know. What if we added like a fourth wheel? Dude, you are twisted, but I love it. So they slapped on a fourth wheel and released the Hope Star ON360. Look at this little thing. Looks like a Power Wheels truck for grown-ups. It also kind of drove like one, considering it had a blistering top speed of 43 miles per hour. It used a two-stroke air-cooled Mitsubishi engine, which made 20 horsepower. But what it lacked in power baby, it made up for with surprising 4x4 capability, baby. For Hope, this was really more of a concept car. They only made 15 of them, but between that and their three-wheelers, a lot of people were hopeful about the company. In 1968, Suzuki bought the Hope Motor Company because the light bodies and engines fell right in line with what Suzuki was all about, being small but innovative. They saw potential in the Hope Star and rebodied it, even swapped out the Mitsubishi engine for a Suzuki FB 2-cylinder, which upped the Hurspers from 20 to an absolutely massive 25. And in 1970, Suzuki released their new version of the Hope Star, now called the Jimny.
What's a Jimny, like a cricket?
A Jimny is the same as a Samurai.
Oh my God, you need to cut this part out. I do not need any more problems with Samurai.
This was the first global hit for Suzuki. When the Jimny launched, it was the only 4x4 K car and instantly had a reputation as the perfect froder. It featured canvas doors that zipped closed like any proper Froder should. And by 1979, outside of Japan, it came as a soft top, a hard top, and down under, you could find my adopted kangaroo, Nolan 2, behind the wheel of a Jimny Stockman. Oh, you think I adopted a baby kangaroo? No, everybody wants the babies. Nolan 2 is a full-grown, middle-aged kangaroo that was down on its luck. I actually did adopt a kangaroo. I got receipts. Now this Stockman featured a pickup tub that had 42 free Roman Brumbies, now 4-cylinder, 4-stroke motor. And when the second generation launched in 1981, and it was more refreshing than an ice-cold Shasta. The styling took a number of cues from Jeep CJ models of the day. Suzuki knew who their demographic was. And just like in the 70s, there were K-car and non-K-car models. So you could find all sorts of configurations. You hate your windshield? Hold it down. Hate the roof? Pull it off. It could go anywhere and do anything. Meanwhile, we're over here in the States, people were watching the rest of the world having all this fun, going to restaurants and stuff, and their cute little 4x4s, and we were like, hello? We'd like to have fun too. And in 1986, the Jimny came to a stop, looked us right dead in the eyes, finally, and was like,
Suzuki Samurai 4x4.
Chapter 2, American Samurai Warrior. The adorable off-roader debuted in some adorable commercials. The Jimny was rebadged as the Samurai in the States to emphasize its lightweight agility and, well, its Japanese heritage. It's all about surface level references for us over here in the US. You could get the American model as a convertible or a hardtop, complete with a 1.3 liter 4-banger that made an astounding 63 horsepower, which was a pretty hefty increase considering that the first model only made 20. Now, the initial plan was to import roughly 14,000 Samurais in the first year.
That sounds terrifying.
But when off-road enthusiasts saw how much dirt these little things could kick, that 14,000 ended up becoming 47,000 by the end of the year.
Hello? Yes, I need to upgrade my life insurance.
What made it such a good off-roader? Where do I begin? For starters, it was a true 4x4, which should really be a given when you're talking about cars for the trail. But the Samurai had great low-end torque. When you're trying to go over an obstacle, it's nice not to have to rev to redline just to make it through. Gearing is also very important when you're climbing over all them bouldies. The Samurai had a transfer case which multiplies torque to make it even more powerful in low gear. It also had killer angles. When you're off-roading, there are 3 angles you're concerned about: approach, breakover, and departure. The Samurai nailed all 3 because of its high ground clearance and short overhangs. The Samurai also used a solid axle rather than independent suspension. This meant better wheel articulation, literally keeping the wheels on the ground. That articulation was also helped by its ladder frame chassis. Ladder frames are a very simple kind of body-on-frame chassis that's existed for pretty much as long as there have been cars. There's probably horse-drawn carriages with ladder frames. Now they're antiquated, but they can handle a lot of torsion, which also means more wheel contact. And wheel contact means traction. Are there more capable off-roaders? Yeah, sure. But rarely is so much of that available in such a small, mass-produced package. In addition to being good for off-roading, it's incredibly affordable, just like our Buff Horses sticker packs.
What's up, guys? We've got new low-car pins in stock.
I know, we've also got new high-car pins back in stock. These ones are different, they're super limited. They're finished in a beautiful black nickel finish. So if you want one, don't sleep on it. We're only making 800 of each. Every single one is going to be individually numbered. Make sure you buy it from us because it'll be cheaper than buying it from eBay when they're sold out.
Not only do we have new pins, but we also have new keychains for both low car and high car. They're those remove from flight tag style, so get your hands on those as well.
These are really cool. They're going to sell out soon, just like Nolan did. And
Up to speed. I mean, a Suzuki Samurai at $6,500 only cost 2/3 of a 1987 Jeep Wrangler. Yeah, it only weighed 2,100 pounds and went 0 to 60 in almost 17 seconds, but none of that matters for an off-roader. In fact, the Samurai outsold the Wrangler 2-to-1 in 1987. Then, in 1988, Suzuki introduced the 88.5 model, which had softer suspension, better interior, larger roll bar, and a lower fifth gear to make it better for street driving. Yeah, sure, they didn't increase the power, but its lack of speed wasn't what started slicing up Samurai sales. Chapter 3, Suzuki Motor Corp versus the Consumer Union of the United States. In the criminal justice system, the people are represented by two separate yet equally important groups. The actual criminal investigators and James Pumphrey, who makes internet car videos about them years later. These are their stories. This is crazy, all right? I'm just warning you guys. All right, so in 1988, a young driver sustained mild injuries after rolling their Suzuki Samurai to avoid an object in the road. Now that wouldn't have been a noteworthy wreck, except the driver happened to be an employee of the United States Consumer Union, the same organization that publishes Consumer Reports, a magazine that reviews products for safety and quality. Mostly old people read it. Now, this accident prompted Consumer Reports to take a closer look at the tip-up tendencies of the Samurai. They subjected the car to sudden swerve tests at 40 miles per hour, and according to their summary, Consumer Reports found that the car was easily rolled over. This prompted Consumer Reports to give their first unacceptable rating in 10 years.
This is a car that we consider dangerous,
said David Berliner, the Consumer Union's assistant director. Berliner means donut in German.
The design is inherently flawed. It's not something where they can make an adjustment or put on some hardware in order to make a difference. The only solution is to take it off the market.
And just like that, sales of the Samurai tanked.
That's it. That looked pretty good.
The report was published at the same time that the Japanese yen was rising against the American dollar, which had already forced Suzuki to raise Samurai prices by 30%. And it didn't help that Americans were primed to believe the Consumer Reports. There had been numerous findings of SUVs being involved in a higher number of rollover accidents. It was a perfect storm of bad news, but Suzuki, they called BS. You see, the Jimny had been around for almost 20 years at this point, just not in the US. And there had been numerous tests performed both internally and by federal regulators that showed it was safe to drive the Jimny. Something wasn't adding up. So they put their lawyers on the case, and after the better part of a decade, in 1996, Suzuki Motor Corporation filed a $60 million libel suit against the Consumer Union for willingly fraudulent testing. In the course of their investigation, Suzuki found that Consumer Reports had manipulated evidence and changed their testing criteria with the express purpose of rolling the Samurai. They uncovered documents from the first time Consumer Reports tested the Samurai in which the researcher said the car responds well and corrects quickly, leans normally, snaps back in line, confidence fairly high, no real problem. He even ranked it as one of the best vehicles tested and gave it the highest safety rating. And if that wasn't enough, Suzuki got access to a video from the second round of testing in which testers ran the sudden swerve 47 times before getting a single tip over. In the video, a Consumer Union executive can be heard saying to the testers, "If you don't find someone to roll this car, I will." And it was another executive named R. David Piddle, of course, who finally got the Samurai to tip. And when it tips, you can hear another tester shout with excitement. Then they improvised a more difficult test who employees who were there said was set up with the express purpose of filming an accident. And even in that test, it took 15 tries to get the car to tip.
Just see if we can lift off the ground.
A witness said, "From what I heard and saw during the testing of the Samurai, the objective of the test was not to simulate normal avoidance driving, but was to flip the Samurai."
Every Samurai I've ever met could flip first time, easy.
Those tests demonstrate that the Suzuki Samurai has an unusually high propensity to roll over of any driver during routine driving.
Consumer Reports settled out of court because they got a ton of money, and that's what rich people do. And they issued a public correction, but the damage to the brand was already done. Suzuki's automotive reputation would never fully recover, and the perception that they made unsafe cars extended into the Suzuki Sidekick and even the Geo Tracker. It just goes to show you what can happen when one magazine gets too much power, baby. Chapter 4, The Last Samurai. Suzuki did their best to hold on to the American market, but when the roll cage mandate came in 1994, the end was near. Rather than re-engineer the design of the car, Suzuki simply took out the back seats to make room for the new roll cage. And then in 1995, they pulled the Samurai out of the States entirely. But that's not the end of the story though. Jimnys are still being produced, and they're crazy popular anywhere there's a market for K-style trucks. Suzuki introduced the third generation in 1997 at the Tokyo Motor Show with a much more modern design and a 1.3 liter Suzuki M engine, bringing horsepower up to a blistering 83. The third gen was sold around the world under different names. Maruti sold a version in India that was perfect for parts of the country where less capable vehicles were impractical. Mazda sold a version called the AZ Off-Road, with the AZ standing for AutoZam, Mazda's small car offshoot. In New Zealand, it was sold as the Farm Worker 4x4. Though there, it was strictly intended for work and isn't legal to drive on streets. It's like a nice gator. And of course, it did well as a K car in its native land of Japan. It currently holds the record for the highest altitude driven by a four-wheeled vehicle. On April 21st, 2007, Gonzalo Bravo and Eduardo Canales drove a Jimny 21,942 feet up Ojos de Soldado in the Andes Mountains. And on the way, they passed a sign left by the previous record holder that read, "Jeep parking only. Others can't make it up here anyway." They brought the sign back down with them, which is just a flex. In 2018, Suzuki released a fourth generation called the Jimny Sierra. Like all other Jimnys, it's still a killer off-road vehicle. It's currently available in Japan, Indonesia, Thailand, and the Philippines. But sadly, we probably won't see it here in the States. So we'll have to make do with trucks that are way less cute. Thank you guys for watching this video and everything else on Donut Media. Hit that subscribe button and that bell so you don't miss anything. We put out a video dang near every day. You want to learn some more about little trucks that aren't meant to go off-road but are really, really fast and have more than a blistering 83 horsepower, check out this episode of Wheelhouse hosted by Nolan Sykes. I love you.